extremely happy. Senator Kaine.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Admiral Caudle, good to see you again. And Senator Scott talked about at the beginning about just please respect the sailors. And I just want to share with my colleagues, Admiral Caudle and I have worked pretty closely together on a very thorny problem, which is we had 2 clusters of suicides among sailors in Hampton Roads. A number of sailors connected with this long refueling of the GW where they were, in dock in a kind of a pointless waiting for Godot situation. And then also a number of sailors who were assigned to limited duty status at the Mid-Atlantic Regional Maintenance Center. And I just want to share with my colleagues, along with everything else he was doing to make sure we could win battles, and I'm going to ask about that in a second, Admiral Caudle really took this very seriously and made a number of changes in both of these units and more generally throughout the Navy that I think demonstrates a real focus on the success of each individual sailor. And I just want to thank you for that, Admiral Caudle. With respect to winning battles, I don't think you've gotten enough credit. I don't think the Navy has gotten enough credit for the work in the Red Sea, and I know my colleague, Senator King, just brought that up. We've been getting a lot of briefings about the work in the Red Sea against the Houthis, keeping shipping lanes open for global commerce, et cetera. A lot of those briefings have been in classified settings, and I'm not sure the public has fully understood the degree of danger that the Navy has been under, the daily assaults and attacks that the Navy has been under, and that essentially, you've kind of been 1,000% during this. Talk a little bit about the success of the Navy in these operations and lessons learned going forward.
Well, Senator, thanks for all the time you afford me and our partnership in Hampton Roads area. It's crucial, as you know, that industrial base there and what it brings to Virginia. So thank you for that. And thank you for the acknowledgement of the sailors and strike groups and destroyers and submarines that have been part of those operations. Let me just highlight real quick just the importance of the heroes on board these ships. And those are the real weapon system. It's the sailors on board. Their training, you can go watch any of these crews that are in these combat centers and the way they are mining their panels in a very complex environment and defending the carrier strike group so it can conduct its operations. The rate of learning and the turnaround between when we get an engagement data set back to the community of practice, which is our Warfare Development Center, the team at Dahlgren, the surface commander in the Atlantic, to digest that, to make sure the shot doctrine, the weapon selection, the algorithm used by the Aegis combat system is perfectly tuned and made adaptations in real time was world class on that. And then finally, just the evolution of actually attacking each attack with the right munitions. So using more air-to-air assets, which are cheaper than an SM-6 or an SM-2, and using electronic warfare to do that when possible. And so that learning curve has been great there. And then the spectrum of care we've given those warriors who have operated in that engagement zone starts in the Red Sea. On the transit back, we give them a hero's welcome when they return to the pier, and we continue to follow up with them afterwards to make sure they get the care they need.
I really appreciate you sharing that. We've been very aware of the learning that we are all doing based on watching evolution of the battlefield in Ukraine, but this battlefield in the Red Sea, where the Navy has performed so well, has created a lot of evolution of practice in ways that we can bear fruit going forward. My colleagues have heard me talk about this during the NDA markup, but I want to just raise it again. By including defense spending in the reconciliation bill, we had some strange issues arise as we assessed the Pentagon's budget request. The example was the Pentagon made assumptions about how much money the reconciliation bill would have for Virginia-class subs, but that turned out to be off by $2 billion. We fixed a significant portion of that deficit. The chairman was key to that. There still remains a gap. So I'm concerned that there could be a cascading effect over the next several years. But one thing that could help give us some clarity on the issue going forward would be timely delivery of a 30-year shipbuilding plan. Should you be confirmed, do you commit to timely delivery of the 30-year shipbuilding plan with the President's budget request so that we can make sure we're aligning our needs with our resource allocation?
Senator, I commit to that. I will work diligently with the Secretary of the Navy to deliver that on time.
Last question I'll ask is this. I am a big supporter of AUKUS. What's your assessment of AUKUS's progress and what might Congress do to help keep it on track?
Well, Senator, for everyone, there is no question that Australia fields incredible submariners. They have served on board U.S. submarines and with me personally for decades. I'm personal friends with the Chief of Staff of the Navy there, Mark Hammond, and he and I are good friends for a long time. So the question of Australia's ability to conduct undersea warfare is not in question by me, I think, or anyone. But as you know, the delivery pace is not where it needs to be to make good on the Pillar 1 of the AUKUS agreement, which is currently under review by our Defense Department. So I think rightly so, we do have to understand whether or not the industrial base can produce the submarines required so that we can make good on the actual pact that we've made with the UK and Australia, which is around 2.2 to 2.3 Virginia-class submarines per year. That's going to require a transformational improvement, not a 10% improvement, not a 20%, a 100% improvement.
We need to do that, though, don't we, Admiral?
To improve?
But we need that transformational improvement, do we not?
Absolutely, Chairman. Absolutely. We need a transformational improvement and the ability to deliver twice the capacity that we're currently delivering.
So if I can follow in on what the Senator has asked, we need to quickly and resolutely get to where we need to be to fulfill our Pillar 1 obligations and move on to Pillar 2. Is that your assessment?
Well, yes, Chairman. My assessment would be Pillar 2 we need to have that on on steroids already. It's the technology transfers and the things we're doing with artificial intelligence and cyber and undersea unmanned vehicles, all those types of things that we can collaborate with our great partners in the United Kingdom and Australia needs to be working in parallel. But in parallel, we need to transformationally improve the output of the 2 yards that are producing our Virginia-class submarines. There needs to be some creativity, some ingenuity, some outsourcing improvements, stop the attrition levels that are currently there today at those 2 yards. And so we need an all-hands-on-deck approach to this to get to the 2.3 submarines per year.
Do you commit to doing that?
I do. I want to work closely with both of those companies and our program offices and the Secretary of the Navy and your committee and the entire congressional team